So, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for attending our session today. I would like to establish our session where we will go through a journey of the data life from the raw data until we reach a real insights. I would like to start with the introduction of our panel today. So, I have with me Professor Rajhi. So Professor Rajhi is a full professor of economics in France and economics advisor for UNDP. He's a former minister of grand reforms and minister of employment and vocational training in Tunisia, as well as chief research economist for the African Development Bank and ministerial advisor at the Office of Prime Minister in Tunisia. Dr. Rajhi has also held key advisory roles with the World Bank, IMF, UNDP, EOU, and ESCWA. We have also with us today Dr. Ali. So Dr. Ali Hamdi is a distinguished university professor and former chair mathematics and actuarial science, American University in Cairo, AUC. Dr. Hamdi is a fellow of the American Statistical Association, member of the International Statistical Institute, and a fellow of the African Academy of Sciences. Dr. Hadi has been recognized for advancing statistics, actuarial science, and data science education and research. I would like to welcome also Dr. Serene Talib. She's a visiting assistant professor at the American University of Beirut. Dr. Talib is a visiting assistant professor at the Suleiman S. Olayan School of Business, American University of Beirut. Her work bridges STEM education and business, focusing on how data, analytics, and artificial intelligence can drive decision making. Finally, we have also Dr. Afaf Tabash, sorry. So Dr. Tabash is an academic consultant and entrepreneur with over 2 decades of experience bridging the gap between higher education and industry. She serves as assistant professor of management information systems at the American University in Dubai, where she teaches courses in MIS, project management, programming, and statistics. And I'm Tamer Mohammed. I'm the chair of computer engineering and computational sciences at the Canadian University Dubai. I had like 20 plus years in software industry and a professor of AI. So, welcome, and we will go through our journey today through the life cycle of the data, from starting from raw data until we can find useful insights from the data. So I would like to start with my first discussion question to our panel. So it's always a challenge. How can policymakers ensure that data collection efforts align with policy goals rather than just producing more numbers in the data? So for the panel to start, I know Dr. Afaf, she liked this topic, so please, Dr. Afaf.
Hello, can you
Yes.
hear me? Okay. So, thank you for the organizers for having us. Indeed, Dr. Samer, and we have heard from many consultants and ERP consultants from their clients that we have so many clients that say we have dashboard, we have data, and we don't know what to do with it. So, of course, we say that there is a framework to start. There's a journey. It's a journey from the data up to arriving to influencing policy. It's a journey. However, the first step of this journey is really establishing a clear objective before data collection. Like it's any journey, we need a destination. So this is very important in terms of establishing an objective, something like sustainability, reducing environmental footprint, for example. So once an objective is done, we can go to step two. Step two, that is data collection. Then we can see what do we have, which data do we have what we need to measure? Sometimes we don't. And once we establish this, we can go to step three, as in the data processing. We analyze the data. We clean first the data. We analyze. There are different types of analytics. Maybe we can talk about them: descriptive, prescriptive, etc. And once we have this information, we can put a context, and then we have an insight. And just to wrap it up, once we have an insight, and any insight that does not lead us to action, it doesn't matter. So once we have an insight, then we can go to action. And this is where we create new policy, we modify existing policy. Now, I don't know, I can give an example, but if you want to pursue with someone else, we can do that.
Yes, I know, Dr. Rafaf, you have made it like looks simple, but I know the data is not always beautiful, right? As expected. That takes me to the next question about it, our discussion today. So, what are the key steps in transforming data into insights? So, where do most organizations struggle when they collect data? As a practitioner, I know it's not that easy as it looks. Uh, I know that Dr. Ali can you, yeah, as a mathematician and from the statistics
Yeah,
department. Yes.
thank you very much. Let me first apologize because I have a cough for more than 1 month and my voice is almost gone. So I hope you will hear me. Uh, Collecting data is an easy thing if the data are there. But unfortunately, many of the data that we want to collect are not there. So, especially in the Global Knowledge Index, we have a lot of data that we call missing. When I say missing here, I don't mean missing indicators. No, the indicators are there, but some countries do not have interest for these indicators. So, for example, out of the 195 countries, only 149 countries qualified to be included in the index because one of the conditions is that they must have at least 50% of the values there. So, what, why these values are not there? There are so many reasons for that. But mainly, the values are not there maybe because the government of the country does not collect these data because they don't think it's important. Or maybe they collect it, but they hide it. And I don't know which one is more serious than the other. They are, both of them are very bad because if they say that the data are not important, this is just simply symptoms of ignorance. Okay, if they hide it, this is, you can tell me. But anyway, we are faced with the challenging question here, what to do with missing values when you have them in your data. Traditionally, people compute the statistics of interest, for example, the mean, without the missing values. But this sounds simple, but in fact, if you do that, you are unintentionally or intentionally replacing the missing values by the mean of the non-missing values. So this might be a biased thing to do. So we discussed this problem at length, and I have views that is not shared by many people. I think when you try to impute the missing values, number one, we should create an indicator of missing values. And this indicator will have an opposite effect on the index. In other words, large values give you smaller index, but this here does not fly well with the policy maker on the top. The alternative to that is to try to impute the missing values, but we don't just simply impute by one number, but many numbers. So we consider the four numbers. We can take the mean of the existing values, which is the currently used thing, or because the mean can be affected by outliers, so we use the median as a second number. But sometimes the whole thing is not there. Or the entire thing in a pillar is not there. So in cases like this, we use a method known in computer science as KNN. KNN just find the key observations that are nearest to the country, and we set k equal to 5. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Okay, we set k equal to 5, but sometimes 5 is not enough because even the k nearest to 5 are also missing. So we can increase to 6, to 7, and so on until we have enough data to estimate the missing values, and we can take the mean of these 5 countries or the median of these 5 countries. So we have now 4 numbers here, and we do not want to reward the country with missing values. So what we do is that we compute all the 4 numbers, and we take the smallest one of them, and we use it to impute the missing value. This way we're not really penalizing the country, but we ensure that we don't reward the country with missing values. So these are the methods that have been used in this current index, which is a major change from the previous one. But it's a very, very serious issue, and we really have to put a lot of pressure on governments to collect the data, maybe by educating the government about the importance of having this data.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Ali. I know that as a practitioners, we fall in love with those algorithms and how to make the data clean and these kind of things. But having a policymaker expert and a dashboard and visualization expert, I cannot hold myself of asking how to make this complex information clear when we present it to our audience and our public. So, Dr. Tawfiq, if you would like to add something.
يمكن أنا أريد أن أعود إلى نقطة يعني هام.
Just as it concerns the position on policies and public policies, it sometimes differs from the positions of sector-specific policies. The private sector's information, for example. I mean, as a university professor, when I teach about information, information is raw data, meaning raw materials. It is not knowledge. The information itself is not what constitutes knowledge. Information transforms into knowledge through the way it is applied. Well, what I mean is, here at the university, in our academic instruction, we don't actually teach econometrics or any specific subjects of that nature. Instead, we instruct students on how to effectively handle data and how to utilize certain tools that inherently present various challenges. This, of course, is highly relevant to the academic field. So, how do you go about transforming this information into something that provides genuine insights, especially for the decision maker? And we're connecting this to the very thing you were involved in regarding the previous discussion. How can information truly transform itself into valuable, actionable intelligence that is generally capable of assisting and empowering the decision maker? If the information itself does not ultimately lead to a clear, concrete, and decisive action, then, from my perspective, it holds absolutely no real importance or practical value whatsoever. It simply becomes an abstract matter, exclusively reserved for academics. It might not directly concern the decision maker, but it can certainly assist them in reaching a conclusion, unless the decision itself is the sole focus of their attention and concern. This is the fundamental point regarding the transformation of raw information into genuine, actionable insights, that it possesses the capacity to significantly contribute to the decision-making process. What is truly essential for the decision maker, when considering the information provided, is that it serves as a powerful impetus, a driving force, ultimately guiding them towards making the most appropriate and correct decision. Furthermore, this information must possess the ability to clearly outline for them all the potential issues and, crucially, the various trade-offs involved. If a decision maker receives information from an external source, meaning when this information reaches him, if it isn't capable of presenting him with all the diverse possible options and the necessary trade-offs between them, then this particular information holds no real value for him. It is precisely this comprehensive type of information that allows him to transform it into genuine, actionable insights and ultimately guides him towards making the right decision. The second essential point for the decision maker, and it must be information that tells him what it is. Important to him? Something is either an urgent story or it's not, which means it should be brought to the table. Right now, the information itself is signaling its urgency. For example, when you have data concerning school coverage, or perhaps health-related issues, or other similar pressing matters. This means the information leads directly to what we refer to as a warning system. This is especially important for decision makers, as it provides them with crucial, actionable insights. Advanced insights. The major challenge is conveying this information to the decision maker. How is the information conveyed? That's your question. Conveying information to a decision maker is entirely different from what we do in academia. I mean, when I started my PhD, I remember dissertations were 600 pages. People used to write 600 pages for their PhDs, when the doctorate itself later transformed. Back then, the doctorate was a major undertaking, not yet the university doctorate that came later. It was reformed to be 250 to 300 pages. Can you imagine a prime minister or a minister? So, it receives reports. I mean, a lot of reports come in from every single department. They come from all the various directorates. It even operated, at the level of the Prime Minister's office, meaning it comes to us from every single ministry. The sheer volume of data and information that comes with it is truly immense. Is it even possible for one human being to review all of this information? No. So, the crucial point here is how you convey the information so that it can truly become a real vision and effectively shape the decision. It's all about how you condense the information. Condensing information is quite different from condensing it at the university level. And even we make errors with information at the university level. But in all cases, its simplification for the decision maker means how you sometimes have one graphic, one table, and your information that you can, effectively use. That information should then follow the decision's path, becoming a clear decision-making trajectory for those in charge within the sector. In the public sector, you can start from a department, rise to a ministry, and from a ministry, you might even become a prime minister. So, how is it that you are capable of carrying and transmitting the very same piece of information consistently through a single, unified method? This is essential so that the information is fully delivered and does not vanish or become altered at any point midway through its journey or transmission. The information must remain absolutely identical from start to finish, ensuring that you ultimately receive that exact same data, which is vital for making the most appropriate and well-informed decision. The fundamental point, and this is crucial, is that the entire method by which information is both created and then subsequently presented is what ultimately ensures that your entire group, specifically those individuals operating at the highest level of decision making, can truly possess a shared, comprehensive, and unified understanding of a specific challenge or the underlying issue at hand, the one for which effective and lasting solutions absolutely must be identified and then successfully implemented. When you have a great deal of information to present, it often comes across in a very mixed and scattered manner. This kind of presentation simply cannot bring decision makers together effectively. And I'm speaking here, at times, about the level of even a board of directors, whether you're running a private company or even a cabinet of ministers. So, when there's a presentation with maybe 1, 2, or 3 conditions, or a table or two, then a joint discussion about that single piece of information, about the issue through which you can then proceed to make the decision. Decision making. In summary, information holds absolutely no value for decision makers if it doesn't directly lead to concrete action. If there's no clear path to implementation, they simply won't pay any attention to it whatsoever. And if it fails to present a range of distinct, viable options, it'll be entirely disregarded. Secondly, information is critically important because, on one hand, it provides you with those essential choices, and then it concentrates the discussions of all stakeholders involved in decision making on a single piece of information. We've convened, but we don't possess the same information to reach a solution that isn't divergent. However, our understanding of the subject is achieved through the abstraction of information in its presentation. A visualization that can be discussed is a very crucial visualization for the topic. Thank you.
شكرا دكتور توفيق. So yes, I cannot hold myself for
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Tawfiq.
organization dashboard. All of what did Dr. Tawfiq mention affect how we design our dashboard when we provide it to the decision makers, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So I'm gonna shift to English. just for the terminologies. So yeah, before like answering this specific question, I would like to also emphasize what Dr. Afaf already mentioned about the pipeline, about how important it is to have data that answers the question. And this is very, very important. I really noticed this in my as a faculty member, I supervise around 70 capstone projects for masters in business analytics students. And in this capstone project, students should work with real companies on real data set. And a big problem is with the students or even companies just throwing data on the student and just like telling them, go figure out what to do with it. And this is not the way how it should be. Like it should be the other way around, as Dr. Afaf mentioned. Companies should know exactly why they are collecting this data and what do they want out of this data. Question that is raised is what should guide us to collect the data, not the other way around. And also, like following up on what Dr. Tawfiq mentioned, I think there should be kind of a, what I would like to call data to decision kind of playbook, where you have clear actions that, for example, if we get this conclusion, this is the action, this is the best action, whether it's academia, whether it's industry, whether it's policy making, this is the best action that should be done. And after this action has been done, we have to wait a little bit just to test whether this policy, this action made sense or had a positive impact. And then if it had a slight positive impact, in my opinion, we should celebrate it. Like those are insight-driven actions that are rare currently. So we have to celebrate each and every action out of it. Now, back to your question about visualization. So yeah, I think how to communicate with non-technical audience, one also of the main issues that I see, at least with my students and with also some junior employees, is that they bumped into the technical details. Like for example, my students come during the presentation of the capstone, they start by mentioning that we use random forest, ARIMA, SARIMA for forecasting and blah, 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 like all the algorithms. And they forget about the important thing, which is just like tell me what is the business insight that you got out of it. And then if asked about like technical details, you can go, and it really depends about like on who is your audience. If your audience are technical, business, CEO levels, it's very different. So we have to tailor it based on who we are presenting to. Also using like jargon terms, like students try to do p-values, heteroscedasticity, all of those like terms that don't really make sense if you don't put it into a context. Something else, it's about kind of overclaiming stuff from weak data. So they overclaim that this is causing, like X is causing Y, while actually what happened is that most probably there's a confounder in between that has affected this like correlation or association even effect. However, we don't have enough maybe education about this. So I think at least from the academia perspective, we have to highlight this as much as possible. And I do highlight it even for my undergraduate students because they will fall into it at some point. Yeah, one last thing is about ignoring the trust context. I believe, especially when doing policy making in governmental, especially in our region in the world, very few people have enough confidence and trust in the government. So yeah, I think we have to really have a solution for this, because if people do not trust you, they're not going to take your advice, or whatever your evidence-based advice is, they're not going to take it. So yeah, I believe this is part of how we are sometimes failing in communicating our findings as researchers, as policymakers to non-technical people. So yeah, that's from my side. Thank you.
So, talking about trust, yeah. So, what we did address or tackle or discuss so far, what data tells us, right? What about what data not telling us? What about the bias inside the data? These kind of things coming to the trust. So, to the panel.
I'll speak about an observation on what was said regarding visual content, especially from my point of view. I mean, public policies. Visuals are not merely an aesthetic form, it is an important tool for governance. What I mean is, I see it as a governance tool. And we know teaching, meaning the use of visuals, is, well, something we are quite capable of. It is presented in a graph that gives you the important directions. There is a condensation of the data, even including equations and other such elements, meaning all of it is condensed into one single comprehensive graph. It's possible that in your teaching, you might find a particular approach to be better, but at the level of the side of it, the public policies, these particular visuals have two main points. I believe the first point is that they truly form a dialogue. So, these perspectives themselves form a dialogue among various levels, among experts, ministers, advisors, and all those involved in the decision making stage. They must possess clear viewpoints, and we're not defining their specific clarity. It's simply a form of discussion. The second point regarding the visuals is that it enhances what we discussed this morning concerning accountability. Because when you, for instance, have on open governance platforms a group of So you are supporting the entire matter of accountability, along with the follow up and tracking of the government's performance curve and its ultimate results. But the core, I believe, is that these visuals must meet 333, meaning crucial conditions. Firstly, they must be accurate. Yes, accurate. And they must be truthful and understandable to non experts. This is very important because if you sometimes work with certain people, an expert, honestly, I don't understand. I mean, it's hard for you to want to, and for others to grasp its meaning. Available, it needs to be honest, and its meaning must be easily understood by people from all different backgrounds, not just the experts. I truly believe that this is a fundamental principle. I want to emphasize this point. Let me give you an example. We use it for monitoring people. I mean, what was like the car's gauge or its indicator? I mean, the level, of its performance. I mean, when we set its level, it's really very important because when you see it like red or yellow, for example, or green, you don't need to understand. You'll quickly grasp the concept. If this indicator was red, it means you have absolutely no performance. However, if it was green, then you clearly have good performance. And finally, if it was yellow, you'll find you have a medium level of performance. The way information is presented holds value, significant value. And I'm not referring to any particular country. I mean, when we began developing one of their monitoring systems, some of them said, we asked them, why are you preparing it for them? You want this system from us, and it needs to have this specific needle that passes through such and such. He stated, we have our own perspective to share. The senior official, you see, he simply doesn't have the time to delve into a stack of reports. He only wants to see the critical indicators, the red and yellow signals, or something similar. So this is a capability that allows it to achieve its intended purpose. The presentation and articulation of public policies, particularly those implemented within the Arab regions.
It's in
Thank you for your valuable input. I'd just like to further elaborate on the point that a test needs to be quickly comprehensible, as this is extremely important. There's even a widely accepted principle that states most visuals must be fully understood within 5 seconds. Within those 5 seconds, you should be able to grasp the entire narrative it's trying to convey to you. So, thank you once again for that helpful clarification.
Thank you. Dr. Tamer, I will tackle the question about the bias. So bias is built into the data via different things. Some of my colleagues already mentioned sampling data, the instrument itself. Like when we do academic research, we make sure that the questions, the wording, the reliability, internal, all these stuff. But there's something also for we call historical inequalities, and this is important when we have big data and we're talking about machine learning. And we know like machine learning is an AI tool that was trained using, let's say we have 80% of the data is like for training. Sometimes, let's say we're talking about a bank, loan approvals. If this data that is we're training the ML has some inequalities, for example, bias towards minorities or gender, and we build the machine learning based on that, if this is a prescriptive AI, it's going to give a decision that is not totally non-biased or unbiased. So this is one bias I would like to talk about. And another thing is like Dr. Sreen also mentioned, and Dr. Ali, the missing data. And this is something, sometimes you see like different legacy system, and I'm not talking about index, and like local company or a university, they are like collecting data from different legacy systems. Sometimes they tell us because they come guest speakers, and the problem is like some files are on an Excel file, some information are on an Excel file. So this is one thing, like missing data. And last thing about missing what is not, what does it hide, is the why. Not all the time. Like we say, sometimes there is a correlation, but doesn't mean this is causation. And sometimes we need qualitative data, as in you go down on the ground, you ask people, like people are leaving within 18 months. This is a trend that we detect. But why are they leaving? Sometimes we have this informal communication that is not registered in the system and is causing people to leave. So this is something also that we need to pay attention to.
Speaking of bias, I want to mention another source of bias, usually it's unintentional, and that is the presence of outliers in the data. And outliers are indicated by either very large value relative to all others, or very small values. And sometimes they are present not only one observation, but many in the same indicator. What people usually detect outliers by computing, for example, the skewness and kurtosis and other measures. And once they identify the outliers, some people use what they call winsorization. Winsorization means you take the largest value, you replace it by the next largest value, and see if that next largest value is still an outlier or not. If it is, take the largest two, replace it by the three, and so on until you reach maybe 5 observations from the upper side. The same thing from the lower side. In my opinion, this is playing with the data. You are changing the data. If the outlier does not mean it is bad. Sometimes it is the most informative observation in your data. If you change it, okay, you are forging the data, you're forging the evidence. And if this outliers is a true value, nothing wrong with it. And if it is a high one, you are penalizing the very well performing country by giving it a score less than its true observations. So I personally think that winsorizing is kind of I'm exaggerating here, kind of a crime because you're changing the data. So in the knowledge index, we try to avoid this as much as possible. First, if we find outliers, we try to do transformation, usually power transformation, and the power transformation usually accommodate the outliers without deleting it, without replacing it by anything. And in the case that power transformation is not successful, and this happened in this current index only in 5 indicators. So there is no other way to do but winsorization. I swallow it. But when I swallow it, I get pain in my throat.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Ali. So I want to go back to the visualization and accountability of the dashboards and the tools we are using. So if you allow me, Dr. Tawfiq, to ask this question. So how we balance between making our visualization super simple and also get the engagement from the public for the sense of urgency, not over simplifying the problem at hand.
شو الفيزيوليزيشن يعني كما تفضلت وقالت الأخت هو أنك أنت قادر أنك تقدم.
From my point of view here, that you can evaluate the government performance and can save transparency to the public. This is a very important point. It will help the government to monitor the situation through the dashboard in general, and also there is, it's very important here to the part of the, and what about the public and citizens? It's plenty of citizen of initiatives here that are open data platform for governance, which is available here. The budget sometimes available here in the platform, whatever. So it's very important here for accountability and the public understand the data, what kind of data, and if you have some in specific zone, and you have to provide in 5 seconds, citizens understand to know and control and monitor the points. For example, for the civil society or the journalists, if you have good vision and you have open data in the platform, that it will help and provide accountability of the government and also check. So we should understand very well the visualization and dashboard and the control and also monitoring to be a tool for the real insights and for the government responsibilities later on. And the government can provide some information about the health situation. As a society, you can understand and you can see and you can ask the decision makers, you can ask the person in charge, if these tools are provided or not. So visualization and data here is a tool that to discuss it with the government and also to provide with the community in general. Thank you, Dr. Tawfiq. Any other vision here?
previously يمكن المشكلة عم بتكون last mile آخر
Problem is always in the
we really have to take whatever we are getting out of this data into action and try to test it if it's gonna work or not. So I believe هون عنا the gap where we really need to take it to put it as a pilot maybe test or just implement it, try to see if it makes sense or not. So yeah, this is my input on this.
Any input from you for our panel members?
I just want to say that visualization is really very important, but like any other tool, it can be used and also it can be abused. I can draw a graph that completely mislead the audience on purpose or not on purpose because I'm ignorant. So one has to be very careful. When I teach visualization, I spend the first 3 classes talking to my students about what not to do, not what to do, so that they can detect a misleading graph when they see it. So that's very important, and unfortunately, this is done a lot, many of the time unintentional, but some of the times it is intentional.
So this takes me to asking this question: do we need like any kind of governance or review process for the policy that coming out from data driven, as we have in academia, for example, for research?
Want to answer this? Yeah, I can talk from my perspective if you want. Yeah, so yeah, from my perspective, like as a business the domain of the business analytics. What I do is that I tell my students to present their findings, like because they have a presentation at the end of their masters, to present for us, the academician. But I ask them to present in front of the company first, the C-level company first, make sure that whatever they are sharing makes sense from the company's perspective. Because even like, to be honest, sometimes even the company, there are some insights and some findings that they don't want to share with others. So I ask them to do this verification with the company, make sure that whatever they're going to present for us makes sense from the company's perspective, and they do have the approval of the company to present. I believe in the policy making, it would be something similar. We have to present first to maybe whoever is taking this policy decision in the government, and before getting it into the public. So this is kind of checking whether if it makes sense, whether it's doable actually, because going back into actionable insights rather than just insights that are like on paper and not taking action out of it. So yeah.
Maybe I will just add a small example just to bring it not from the government side, let's say very private sector. Just to take an example how we can measure this policy. We have here a food delivery app that's very famous. And they noticed that only 6% of their customers opt out of cutlery. Yet their sentiment analysis, and they used NLP, natural language processing, to go through all the sentiment on their Google review and platform, social media platform. And they noticed things like, stop sending me cutlery. I eat at home. Too much cutlery. So they decided, like this is a policy, and again, not a government policy. They decided to change the policy to the default, not no cutlery, the default one. So, and they did that, and they added like a checkbox. If you want, you can say add, and they informed the restaurants. 4 months down the road, they tested this policy, and they got 6% to 62% are not using this. So it's not. Sometimes the policy is a small policy. Micro, we can test it. It's a private sector. So I just wanted to add this example.
Thanks, Dr. Afaf. Thanks for the panel. So, mentioning the natural language processing, large language models, AI, from your point of view, having all of these emerging technologies like digital twins as well. So, from your point of view, which of those technologies will reshape our way of interpreting the data in the coming 5 years?
Go ahead.
So yes, they are like many AI-driven now. Data analytics is into place. Of course, there is always the dashboard and the non-AI-driven analytics that you can always use. But I think the NLP is now it's gonna revolutionize this process and make it more also democratic, whether interpreting the natural language or displaying the results in a natural language. Like even now at one of the ARPs, they're telling me it's AI is incorporated in a way that you can say like, give me the customer that is the highest performance this quarter. So it will give you. So I believe NLP, voice detection, video detection, like to be able to detect the videos, and then also to as an input. So this is, I think, it will make an impact.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, I totally agree with you, Dr. Afaf. So I believe they will they are shaping our current days. This is not bad as long as like we're using them as assistants, especially now AI agents. As long as we are using them as assistants and not relying on them like as oracles or as the main source. They are answering like LLMs, co-pilots, and AI agents are answering very like some questions that used to be very complex in few seconds. So as long as they are giving us the correct answer, so they are doing a good job in helping us at least, let's say, kick off a bigger project or do the better analysis after we're getting those few insights out of those LLM tools. Yep.
Yeah, this can open a huge topic about how to know that what I get from those tools are the best insights, right? So we don't have that control about it inside, right? Um, so to wrap up our session, so I would ask if you have some recommendations on how to improve our data-driven governance now, institutional and even governmental. What you would like to share with us?
No, no.
Go to the private sector.
No, let me say this is data is powerful and visualization is powerful. نعطيك مثال اخير، يعني يمكن سمعتم بالتاكس زوكمان دحين، يعني اسقط حكومه في فرنسا منذ 3 اشهر. يعني نحن في فرنسا ندرس في الجامعه في فرنسا، نبحث عن حكومه يعني.
We study now in France that would like to remove the government, to fill the government, actually how to remove it, how to dismiss the government. So they try to collect data about the tax payers and make graphics. If you pay tax, this means that it's the tax, as much as you have money, as much as you pay taxes. In the end, they find that so the richest person, he is the lowest, he pays less than the others, and he is 1,800 rich people. He's arch-millionaire. The most richest person pays less than the poor or the rich in general. So, and the problem, 1,800 people out of the graphics. So it's going up, 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 up. And in this 1,000, and they find that the richest person pays less than the others. Why? So this deal to the leftists, as of command, so should pay 2% extra. So refused by the government, refused by the president. So finally, the government is already fell down because of the one graphic. So this means that the information is very strong, and it has a power against the government, and also the policy can be changed. So I think, and for the decision makers in general, the issue is very important, and you have to do not forget that private sector or the other service sector, civilian services, it should make training, and you have to use these tools for AI tools, and sometimes used in the automation, which is the biggest enemy for the corruption, is digitalization. And this, you removed the entertainment to the other side, and you can put it to against corruption. You never give corruption to the machine, but sometimes available in some countries. So, and it can say here, as per the culture of digitalization. And the second point is training and make civil servant to use these tools. I think we know some countries here But in general, most of these countries don't make the training how to use the AI tools in such collecting data or the performance, and the private sector started.
استعمل ولكن لا استعمل في حتى الامتحان اصبحت ما اعطي امتحان.
Sometimes I ask the students to use the AI. Right now, I stopped to give exams to solve it at home. If you make it at home, you have the best results, especially for the information that you have through the AI. But the training is very important. And in the end, that we discuss the legal framework itself. So it's very important to put it here. نعم أنها آخر نقطة نتحدث عنها، ولكن أعتقد نكون هناك في توصيات يجب أن يكون.
Because with AI and with what we said, that training that we have, so we need some data governance in this regard.
Yeah, from my side, I think I agree with Dr. Tufir that most of the times, if you use digitalization, you're avoiding corruption, but still some countries are using it the other way around. So some countries are affecting the elections outcome through like playing around with the data and even using data that is biased. So we also have to be aware of this. And I think legal frameworks is a good starting point to avoid such issues. And my last kind of recommendation would be that every project should start with a question, with a policy question, with a research question, with a business question, in my case, with the students. And there should be an action that should be done. And if your question doesn't lead to anywhere, don't start this project. Like even in businesses, a lot of businesses are currently investing a lot of money, a lot of effort for projects that are not gonna are not gonna see light because they don't have, for example, the C-level support through all the stages. So if it's the case in your company, in your government, and whatever, wherever you are working in, so don't bother and spend time collecting data, do all of this pipeline for at the end, if nothing is gonna change, no decision is gonna change at the end, or no action is gonna be done.
Yeah, thank you. As I said, like any tool, like this one here, for example, can be used and can be abused. What I'm suggesting here is that we should emphasize ethics in our education, from the primary school to college, because these are the people who would be corrupt people if they are studying ethics. I'm not talk about religion, talk about ethics, okay, in dealings and so on and so forth. So emphasize ethics. We have not been emphasizing ethics for a long time in our education, at least in Egypt.
Yes. So I would like to ask the audience, our audience, if there are any question to our panel today. Any questions?
Thank you. Nada Khaddash Subh from AUB. I just wanted to emphasize or share a thought that whenever you're talking about data, it was concentrated a lot that it's in just like data analysis or engineering or all these scientific fields. Actually, yet I believe that integration of data and data analysis and visualization of data in all the majors and in all the fields, like from now on, because even if we were not data experts, we have to, it's there and we have to deal with this data in a way or another. So I would just like add or ask, how can this be integrated also in different fields, not only in the fields that you were mentioning in specific?
Maybe Dr. Nadal, if you mean other than business, I think now using all the data analysis, even in medicine, is so so much used, like feeding all these scanners and teaching them how to detect like cancer or something. So I think we are there. Many fields like medicine, biology, chemistry, they are using machine learning, using NLP. In addition to the different fields of marketing, people analytic, marketing analytics, sales, I believe we're going there, but definitely if there are some industries that are not there yet, we should incorporate it for sure.
I would like to add that currently, for example, we have some healthcare analytics projects, and it's really very tricky over there because, especially like medical people, they jump into conclusions very fast. They do not care about technicalities. As long as you're giving them, for example, an accuracy of 98%, 99%, that's it. And this is the model that's working. However, when you dig into what is going on there, most of the times it's like data leakage, we have overfitting of the models, and there's like a lot of problematic stuff that are happening. So even like you mentioned, this is very important what you mentioned, because in some domains it's even more critical and risky than other less risky, more business oriented domains. Like losing money is easy compared to losing lives. Yeah.
I think that we have coming to the end of our session, and it looks like we have a lot of challenges using the AI and data analysis. And at the end, I want to thank our audience today, and I want like to thank our panel, Dr. Tawfiq, Dr. Afaf, Dr. Serene, and Dr. Ali for having you today. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.